course, sports are a great learning experience for kids. They teach them hard work and how to succeed on a team. Today, one Virginia Beach group takes it a step further. It's the Making of a Man event.
On any given day, the VA Titans basketball team is working hard on the court. But on this Sunday, we found them here, soaking in an important success story inside of this library in Virginia Beach. They're learning lessons off the court. It's the team's annual Making of a Man event, a chance for them to get inspiration from successful mentors and role models.
And the point is to focus on them not just as athletes, but as people. So we bring them together, and we bring them together with mentors from the community, role models, people who have come from similar stages of life or different walks of life and who have made something of themselves and are coming here to talk about their experiences, inspire the kids.
It's something Coach Cornell Helphill says is necessary in order for them to grow, not just athletically, but in every aspect of life.
There's so many avenues for kids to occupy their minds instead of just sitting on the couch and doing nothing. It's just, as a parent, you have to take that initiative and find something for your kids to do.
On this Sunday, they're hearing from delegate Alex Askew. Team founder Samuel Barcliffe says hearing these testimonies gives these young men a chance to dream big.
We find that each youth has a story to tell. Sometimes taking the moment to listen, figuring out what you can do to actually help them out goes a long way. You know, each individual deserves that opportunity in our eyes.
An opportunity to be high achievers both on and off the court, thanks to role models showing them it's possible.
I'm originally from New York, where I started my office career with NYPD. Hearing a couple of speakers that was here before me, or was up here before me, but I kind of felt a lot of shoes because you guys are great. Police officer, like, hey, I started here. I mean, it can help you guys out as far as a plan in life, what you guys can do. Because I knew I wanted to be a police officer growing up, but it took some time to get there. And that's about it. It was a struggle for me. So, like I said, from Brooklyn, New York. I'm 33. Whatever the case is. Anyway, kindergarten, they asked, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? Pretty sure everyone's asked that growing up somehow, some way. And y'all said astronaut, basketball players, football players, sports, whatever the case is. I was like, hey, I'm going to be a sanitation worker. Because in New York City, they like almost $100,000. I want to be a police officer. Those are the two jobs I wanted. Growing up, I was always tall, which kind of set me aside from everyone else. Everyone thought I was older than what I needed to be. But home life was a little difficult. I didn't know my dad or my biological father. So when I did meet him, I think I was 11 at the time, it was shocking. It was, hey, how you doing? Ty, this is your dad. Dad, this is your son. And I'm like, what's up? And then he just dismissed me. So, I mean, it was me and mom and my younger siblings, but to finally meet the man that apparently helped me get here, and it was just like, boom. So, my life was a bunch of lessons learned. I have uncles, I have older male cousins, and their direction of travel with life was something I wanted to do. Some were good and what they did, they had truck drivers, whatever, but most of them was in and out of jail. I got to high school where I took up commercial education and journalism. And I changed my mind. I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to do sanitation. So I met this girl. I'm like, yeah, this is new life. I'm just worried about her and what have you. And I messed up my studies. I started flunking. I failed classes. I was at risk of being held back. I had to take summer classes, night classes, just to catch up, and it was a bit much. Eventually, I got kicked out because I focused on this girl instead of my studies. All right, so that sucks. So now I'm 18, 19 years old. I got no degree, and I got to make money somehow. And a lot of places don't really take that. Back then, McDonald's was able to take me without a GED or high school diploma. So I joined the military. I did 3 years in the U.S. Army, where I was infantry, assigned to Fort Benning. Then I got transferred over to Arlington, where I was part of the Old Guard presidential detail. This is when Obama took office. So this first year, that was kind of cool to be walking around with Obama for about a year and a half. And I switched over and changed jobs to truck driver. Again, still no police stuff like there, but it was something I had to do. Something to get me to my goal of becoming a police officer. Of becoming a police officer. Yes, sir.
We got kicked out like you think the counter offer just up here.
I'm married to that. so let me think about. So the thing is, so with that, I was in the Army. They got the GI Bill, which helps going to school or whatever else you can put it towards. And I finally got to college. Well, before that, I got my GED, but I got to college when I went to City University of New York, which is part of CUNY. I'm sorry, the City College, which is part of CUNY, excuse me. And I took up their photojournalism for associate's degree. So as far as college is what I have right now, but hey, degree is degree, college is college. Knowledge is knowledge. That's how I look at it. And then I joined the NYPD. So again, I say that to say that you may have a goal. Your goal is here. You can see a straight line good, but it's not always going to be a straight line. Most of the time. Sometimes. You gotta go zigzagging, off-road, jump in your ATV, go swim in some rivers or whatever the case is, but you don't get that. I mean, every speaker, every adult almost here has pretty much the same story. If you have a straight line, then please speak up, but it's not always the smooth sailing. We'll get to. Like mentioned, I'm a school resource officer now, so I'm in Bayside Middle School.
Bayside.
I'm there now, and I have the Tri-Campus, which is right across the street from them. And my position, I'm supposed to be in Bayside Middle, walking the halls, interacting with with the students in the 7th and 8th grade. But I'm like, hey, what about the elementary school kids? Excuse me. So I'm making my goal to go to every school that is assigned to me. I have 4 of them, and I talk to the kids, and I talk to them from this age off of you guys' age. Some people go to college because, hey, that's the thing to do is go to college. Some people go to college because they need it for their job. And some people, however you get there, you get there. You don't always, I don't say you don't always have to go to college, but hey, having more knowledge is something that's always better. You can better yourself. So I started as a volunteer with the NYPD. So while I was struggling back and forth, I volunteered whatever time I had to go into a precinct in New York City, put on a uniform with a vest, a baton, a radio, and a flashlight. No gun, no spray, no tasers. And I went out and walked the streets of Queens, New York. But that was my dedication to become a police officer. Now, I have any questions. Go ahead, sir.
What is about a police officer that's interesting to you?
So, I feel as a police officer, I'm pretty sure there's other positions and occupations out there that can do what, not do what I do, but I use my position to connect with people. I feel as a police officer, I get to talk to people from all walks of life. I get to meet people. I do stuff like this. I mean, the opportunity to come and talk to young kids in Virginia Beach. I would say the training here is a lot better. In the academy, we go about checking each other. Like, we would check each other no matter what. I've caught myself heated, yelling at it was a lady. She wasn't getting the message, and I started screaming at her to try and, like, hey, do you understand? And then my heart came up, it was like top, like more. Nothing crazy. But I didn't catch myself. But and then I've done the same with other ones. So I mean, the training here is a lot different. Yes, sir.
What was the scariest thing that ever happened to you as a cop?
Scariest thing was here in Virginia Beach. There was a suicidal subject. He had a knife to his neck. I went to his house. Me and like 5 other officers. I was the first one in. I could see an older guy bleeding from the head, and I'm like, Dave, that's that name. I'm like, Dave, come to me, come over here. And he wouldn't say it. So I stepped inside, I looked to the left, and I see Tony with the knife to his neck. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, hello. I'm like, dude, put the knife down, talk to me about it. And what have you. So I have a pack here on CIT, Crisis Intervention Team member. I'm actually an instructor as well. So I teach crisis intervention. So even though I haven't done it, I didn't think about it. And I'm like, hey, I was talking, what's going on? And he felt bad, and he just robbed the store, and he thought he was going to miss out on the birth of his child, which wasn't the case. While I was talking to him, I thought I was talking to him and bring him down. He heard the blow of the piano and it spiked him, and he took 3 steps towards me with the knife, and he moved it from here to like that, moving towards me. So I brought the gun up, and our guns, we have slack in it, so as soon as if we hit the trigger, it doesn't go off, we squeeze it. So I took the slack out, and that was about the closest I've come to firing my gun, other than in training or in the firing range. So I thought that night I was going to kill this person. We dropped the knife, and then that was the knife we took him to custody. He got help mentally, but then he also had to face the robbery charges and the assault charges for the whole head.
Thank you, Officer. I appreciate you, sir. Now, Chris, we'll say this. Chris has been with the Titans organization probably going on a good 6.5, 7 years. Well, 6.5. Chris was one of the few players that, a lot of I don't recruit. It's typically your friends or it's players that we grew up with. I remember a quick story about Christian back when he was really little. Maybe when he was like, how old? You were like, I don't know, man. You were mad young. You and Shay were out there balling, hooping, doing everything. I could tell off top you were a very talented individual. I could tell that you were a good kid. And over the course of us being around you, I've learned to, not learned, but I've met a lot of your family members and blessed to have that. The reason I picked Christian to come up was that's an example of why these men are here today in these chairs. They're talking to those young men, like yourselves. You got stuff to pass on, and that's the whole point. The next Titan I'd like to call up is Jermaine Crandall, please.
I want to continue to develop my skills in basketball and just make it far, make it to college, and just hopefully I get some offer soon. But yeah.
Quick story about Jermaine. Jermaine's one of our, I don't even like to call him younger Titans. He's always been one of the younger Titans to the older Titans, because there's my younger Titans sitting over there next to Dalen, Isaiah, and Jalen Raleigh. I play y'all up. The reason I say that is because the point of doing what we're doing is to set you up for preparation. Jermaine, over the summer last year, as he plays up, we have a 17-year-old, basically a senior or varsity league team. We did some tournaments in Greensboro, North Carolina, etc., different places in Virginia also. Well, one particular tournament Jermaine participated in, cannot remember the name of it, but we went out there, pretty much we had everybody we needed to have. It was a varsity tournament. We went against grown men. They were just is what it is. It was beautiful though. So we went out there and we participated. I believe we had 3 games, and I want to say we won every game except one. The thing that happened on this particular tournament, Jermaine had to step up. He had to play up. You know, Jermaine's a little taller than he was last year. A little bit more broader than he is last year. Well, Jermaine was playing very good basketball out there with his teammates. Jermaine, unfortunately, got hurt. I believe he broke a part of his shin. Boy, that upset me. It upset a lot of his teammates. You know, nothing worse than that. I just wanted to focus on Jermaine. But the reality was we had to continue doing what we had to do. Coach Allison got Jermaine, who had it together pretty good. Jermaine had it together pretty good. He had to unfortunately leave, get some medical attention. Coach Allison made sure he got down there and was taken care of very good. While his teammates continued playing. Boy, the thing that Jermaine missed that I was waiting to kind of talk about was, man, his teammates was thinking about him. I mean, they circled up and was like, we got this for Jermaine, this is over. I mean, we went out there and played this team. We ended up beating them, we won. We ended up winning that whole tournament. And it was just some of the best ball I've seen these young Titans play. We're talking about 14, 15-year-olds. We're not talking about 16, 17-year-olds. 14, 15s, and they beat a bunch of 16s, a bunch of 17, 18 men. We did very good in that tournament. They showed up. At the end of the tournament, we were actually able to get back with Jermaine. We were able to see him. He came to the hotel we were staying at. Because y'all know Titans, when we go on the road, we go out and we look nice. But we were at a hotel. Jermaine was able to pull up. At that time, his mom was there, and I believe his aunt, his grandma, was there with him. And, you know, he was good. He was in the car. All his friends came out to go see him. He got to take some pictures with the plaque that we earned. And that's just something that we do as men and Titans of this organization. We come through for one another. And we don't forget the contributions. But at the same time, it's always going to be a tough road. But that was something I wanted to point out with Jermaine right there. The next Titan I wanted to call up is Jeremiah.
My name is Jeremiah. I'm 10 years old, and I would like to make it to the NBA. And I really love basketball, and if I really make it to the NBA or the NFL, it don't matter.
Real quick story about Jeremiah. Man, I tell you what, we go back to playing up. Jeremiah came to me in flag football. I took my flag football team to another organization, and we wanted to start off fresh. And I got a call about another player coming out, and I think at that time he was playing up. I had a group that's ready to go. They've been playing for a while, so they knew what to expect. In fact, yeah, it was still flag. Jeremiah came out there. He saw the players he had to play with. Jakar, can you stand up? This is one of his teammates, and he had to play football. I point that man out because that's the size of the rest of the players. When I tell you Jeremiah didn't think of flinch or worry about that, and y'all know me as your coach, I push y'all the same. Jeremiah got on that field and he just did everything he had to do. He contributed. He didn't come in there getting upset. He didn't make excuses. He didn't allow the juvenile mindset to take over yet. He came out there dedicated to his team. All right? He didn't get big-headed, and it shows. Last night, Jeremiah had his championship game under me with our 8, 9, and 10 Titans, and unfortunately, we lost. This is the first championship he's been able to experience in basketball with me, and I'm going to tell you now, and I think he knows that he's going to get it, and that team's going to get it eventually. The part that I was really proud to see from Jeremiah and some of his teammates, Isaiah sitting next to him, Dalen sitting next to him, is that they were really, really backing each other up. The parts that we taught to these young men to try to carry on, when I tell you that these dudes are carrying it on at this young age and they're doing it, they are doing it. That's your future. That's the dudes that's going to be coming up. That's your future. You know what I'm saying? You guys got to pay attention to that and make sure it's set up for success. All right.
A little bit in terms of what I was going to talk about because I got the chance to see, seeing Sam here, seeing how I walk, seeing Alex. What you're seeing right here is a network. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the importance of networking, and then I'm just going to talk about a little bit about training. But first I want to talk about networking. And the reason I'm going to talk about networking is because the men that y'all sitting next to, your fellow players, your fellow students, you don't realize it right now, but for a lot of y'all, you're going to be communicating with them in 10, 20, 30 years. Sir, could you just appreciate that. That's one thing I want to make sure we talk about today, is paying respect, but the importance of networking. And when we're talking about networking, it's important because you can't get to where you want to be by yourself. I know I did. There's no way I could. I'm up here today because of Alex, because of Hawa, because of Sam. And there's individuals in this room that I want to meet to continue my network. And networking is going to get you where you need to be because you just can't do it alone. I grew up around here. I'm from Tallwood. I went to Brandon, I went to Centerville. I lived in Charleston Lake South. So I grew up a lot how y'all did. I grew up middle class, but my parents weren't wealthy. My mom was a teacher, she taught in local public schools. My dad, he was a firefighter. So we didn't really have like a large amount of money, but we had enough. And I knew that in order for me to get where I wanted to go, with whatever I dreamed about, and that's what I'll talk about next, is dreams, is I had to make sure that I was doing the right things. But in a lot of the doing the right things was a lot of times just when we're in school, when you're seeing that person, when you're seeing that person that maybe doesn't fit in. When you're doing those right things, then you don't believe, you would be amazed how long those things that you did in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, how much that means to someone 10, 15, 20 years down the line. They'll remember you as that, hey, somebody was picking on me and you stepped up. Now, this individual 10, 15, 20 years from now they own their own company. They're doing things in the community. They're elected officials. And it's because you built a network. And that network was a lot of times of being compassionate. And so I just want to stress that to y'all in terms of making sure that, as you're coming up, that you're remembering the individuals that you're working with, that you're playing with, that you're taking care of them, because along those lines, you want to keep that line of communication going on. The next thing I want to really talk about though is dreams. And we'll hear a lot about dreams today, but one of the things I want to talk about when we're talking about dreams is just how long it takes to get there. Sir, how long do you think it takes to get to the dream that you have? Whatever dream that you have. How long would you think it takes? Lifetime? I had a dream of being involved in IT. It's from the time, and this is a computer that y'all aren't going to know about. He will know. As a kid, my first computer that my family got was a Tandy 1000 from Radio Shack. This thing had 4 megahertz and 16 kilobytes of RAM, which means it's nothing now. But at the time, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And from that day on, I knew I wanted to be involved in information technology and some type of computer. But I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know how to even get into it. I didn't know anybody, I didn't know any African Americans, anybody that was involved in technology. So a lot of that was just me going to the food line and buying magazines and just reading those magazines. This is early, internet comes along, just reading everything in. And, but I had to figure out, how did I get there? I didn't really know how. So I knew I wanted to go into the military because I knew the military was okay for college. And college was important for me just because my mom went to college and my dad was in the Air Force. And I had a sister and a brother. And I knew my parents couldn't send all 3 of us to college. I was pretty good at sports, but I wasn't that great. I was tall in line. I got mine. I was senior athlete of the year for track. I wasn't that great on basketball. And one of my teammates right here can attest that I played football, but I never once stepped on the field, not one time. Coach Polk would never let me step on the field. He would call me Hollywood Fago because my family decided to take a trip to Disneyland, and he called me Disneyland after that. And so I never once stepped on the field. I had my letters, but I never stepped on the field. But I was good at track. But I knew I didn't want to do track for my whole entire life. So I joined the Air Force. And with joining the Air Force, I was like, I'm gonna get a computer job. but I didn't know anyone in the Air Force at that time. So I took a job that I thought might have had computers. I took a job, and the job was called Aerospace Ground Equipment. It had nothing to do with computers at all. It had a circuit board, and that was about it. So what I learned from that job is that I was terrible at being electronics, but I was going to be a mechanic. I ended up actually flunking out of that course in the military. So when you flunk out of the military, you go to a review board. This review board looks at you and say, here's your academics, here's how you are as an airman. That's our title in the Air Force, airman. I got in front of this review board, and they looked at my academics, and they're like, you were pretty good up until you got to a certain point. I was a great mechanic. I wasn't good at electronics. Or being an electrician. But then they looked at my personal, and they're like, you didn't get in trouble at all. There was no issues. What happened? I said, it just wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I'm going through the review board, and they're talking to me, and then one of the members looks at me and says, why's your hair red? And so I'm 18 years old. I'm confused. I'm like, my hair's been red since my whole entire life. My cousins, their hair is red. We're pretty light skinned on my side, but I'm African American. He just couldn't believe that my hair was red. He then asked me, where did you grow up at? Or what did you do before you came to the Air Force? I said, I worked at Food Line, worked as a bagger. He assumed that where I came from was the hood. He said, oh, well, you're going to go back to bagging groceries in the hood. For y'all that are from Virginia Beach, I would never consider this the hood. I love Virginia Beach. It's made me for everything I am. But to hear those words that I'm going back to the hood and not going back to groceries, it broke me. And then that day, I was selected for discharge from the Air Force. This was 21 years ago. I had to fight to stay back in. I had to go to what was called our squadron commander and plead my case. I had to tell him that I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake education-wise. Give me another chance. Thankfully, I was reinstated and I was put into what was called healthcare administration. The next healthcare administration is great. You get to learn about working in a hospital. So I got into college and in my bachelor's degree is in healthcare administration. But I knew I wanted to be in IT. It took me 10 years of continuing that dream to be in IT. Part of being healthcare for us is that we get to do healthcare IT. We take care of the networks. Those next 10 years, I was able to become a healthcare administrator in IT. I then became involved in healthcare cybersecurity. But those dreams took a long time. And that's what I wanted to tell y'all really is that the dream isn't going to be there at first, sometimes easy. But I also had other dreams. I remember sitting in the homeroom at Tallwood and like, I want to be involved in hip hop. So I decided to do that as well. While I was in the military, I created my own company and we went around and we shot music videos and photography in Ohio. I had a chance to meet a young individual who was coming up and had a dream as well. His name is Colson Barker. Does anyone know who Colson Baker is? Excuse me, Colson Baker? Colson Baker is Machine Gun Kelly. So Machine Gun Kelly was a kid in Ohio, 15, 16, had a dream. Me and Kells were going around Ohio, just trying to figure out our dream. Everyone kind of looked at me and said, you're in the military, you involved in IT, why are you trying to get involved in hip hop? I tell that story because it's something I wanted to do. But I knew I had to take the time, the money, and the investment. So I didn't have a lot of money, so what did I have to do? I had to sacrifice. Eating peanut butter and jelly, ramen noodles, saving that money to make sure to buy that camera equipment. After about 2 or 3 years of working, so that means I'm up in the morning, doing my military job, a little bit in the afternoon, going to school at this time to finish my bachelor's, and then at night, I'm grinding. I'm going out to different events. After about 2 or 3 years, my company was awarded Best Videography and Best Photography in Hip Hop. and we were able to shoot. I was able to shoot a video for Bone Thugs and Harmony in Cleveland, shoot videos for Machine Gun Kelly, and lots of other things. But that dream just didn't happen overnight, and it took a long time. One of my final dreams I'll talk about really was involved in politics. So people like, you want to be in IT, you got in the military, you want to go to school, and you want to get into politics, you might have too many dreams. And that's probably true. It is probably true that I've always just been a dreamer, but I also knew I wanted to do it. So I had to figure out a way, how do I get involved in politics? Politics and the military don't really mesh. So what did I do? I found a loophole in the military rules. I called up a senator's office down here, and I said, hey, can I come intern for you? They said, sure, you have to come in and interview with us the next day. So I'm in Ohio. I then had to drive 13 hours down here to Ohio to interview for then Senator Jim Webb's office in Virginia Beach. I was offered the position. Just by me doing that, that allowed me to then become one of the first enlisted airmen in the Air Force history to work for like a senator while on active duty. And then that kept going on. I stayed involved. I had the then chance, right when I was about to retire, I called up Alex. I hit him up and I said, I'm about to retire. Would you be able to have a position for me to come on and work for you? He said yes. And that allowed me to get back involved in the community here. And then very soon I'll be announcing that I'll be running for House of Delegates here to cover actually this area. All that being said, it connects because it's about building your network. And it's about continuing on with your dreams. And that's the one thing I just want to leave for you, is that you hear a lot about what you're wanting to do today. You make sure that you're keeping your connections with your brothers here around you. No matter how far along you go, make sure you keep that humbleness that you're not better than them, that you'll keep working, and when they need something, like Sam, he asked me to come out here. He asked us to come out and speak, and I'm glad to be out here with y'all today. And then, of course, I guess I should include my final dream was I wanted to create my own IT company. So before I retired, I created an IT company. I created my own cybersecurity company. I grew up for about the first 4 years. About 2 years ago, I had a chance to obtain my first cybersecurity contract. I got awarded. And now I've been able to grow my company. It's actually based here in Virginia Beach, and I have an office over in Guam. And so I'm able to fly back and forth between Virginia and Guam every other couple months, taking care of our customers out there, but also taking care of them here. So I'll leave y'all with this, is that thank y'all for allowing us here today. Those dreams are going to take time. It's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. And sometimes it won't work out the same the day that you want to. But have that dream, and I really believe y'all will get it. And I'll stand by for any questions, y'all. Yes, sir.
People that you met in the music industry, do you still have a connection with them?
Yeah. So the music industry helped me out a lot in terms of being involved in politics. Working in the music industry, you get to meet people where they're at. You're going to clubs, you're going to seminars, you're going to the studio. You're getting a chance to really see people for who they are. These individuals were all chasing their dreams. They're entrepreneurs a lot of times. And because of my background, and because of my education, I was able to advise a lot of these music artists. Hey, do you know what a split sheet is? Do you know what your BMI or ASCAP is, which is your publishing rights? If you hear about a lot of times, I'm sure there are those who be involved in the music industry, they just have a dream sometimes, but they don't really understand the business. And that's how a lot of times their publishing rights get taken. Or if you see like your favorite music artist saying, I want to get off Bad Boy, or I want to get off Capitol, I want to get off any type of label. It's a lot of times because they didn't understand the business behind it. And so I was able to build these relationships, and to this day, I'm still able to call a lot of them and say, hey, can I have some advice on business? Or especially as I'm getting more involved in politics, is that I'm reaching out to them for assistance on things in terms of videography, in terms of people that they may know. And so those same relationships that I built, maybe I'm not in the day-to-day that I was when I initially got involved in hip-hop, but because I was able to do it the right way, be honest with them, and help them out when they needed help, that I continue that network, and and continuing those networks, even if you're not involved in those type of industries, will help you well past once you've passed that point in your careers. Yes, sir.
Are you good at hip-hop and got them awards? Like, why didn't you just stick to that if you're already doing good at something, even though you're that big time? You still like hip-hop?
Yeah, and I still do love hip-hop. One of the reasons, so the question was in terms of why didn't I stick with it?
Yeah.
I didn't stick with it because it wasn't my ultimate dream. So, and I blame it on my mom. My mom was always like, go after all your dreams. And I probably took that to heart too much because I probably had 5 or 6, 7 dreams. But I knew I knew I couldn't live with myself if I didn't just try to be involved in hip hop. And then once I saw that success, I was like, well, I can really continue upon it. But I knew I couldn't reach the level, I couldn't put those 10,000 hours into it to become an expert at it while I was still in the military. And so I had to make a decision. I was like, do I want to stay in the military or do I want to continue doing hip hop? And I couldn't do both at the time. And I don't regret it at all. I look back at everything we were able to achieve, as a company, being a young entrepreneur. Everything I learned in hip hop not only helped me in politics, it helped me in my IT business. It helped me in terms of really knowing what it means to sacrifice, to build something up, to read a balance sheet. I didn't understand how to do that. I didn't do that properly when I had my first business in music. So when I was able to create my next company, I had better experience. And so while some might see it as a failure, I was able to build off the successes I had with that to then help start my current business. Thank you for that question. Yes, sir.
I like what you said about dreams and how you chase all your dreams, because one thing about a dream is yours. Everybody's not going to see your vision. What you see, people might be like, oh, you're crazy. You think you're
yeah.
But one thing about a dream, stick to your dreams and chase your dream, because that's your dream, and everybody's not going to see your vision. You stay dedicated to it, it can happen.
You are 100% correct. And sometimes I don't want to take up too much time saying, but like there's going to be dreams that sometimes you can't tell people because you're going to tell them and they're going to look at you crazy. They're going to be like, why are you trying to create your own IT company? Why don't you go work for someone? What do you mean you're going to be involved in hip hop? Who are you to try to get involved in politics? You don't come from that background. So if you're going to share those dreams, just know that everyone isn't going to receive them the same way. And it's okay, because they're not and sometimes you have to be that fanatical, but it's in church chasing dreams, not that other stuff he does. I don't agree with that at all. But you have to be able to go after it, and then to know that when you say what your dream is going to be, that they're going to probably be like, nah, that's you can't do that. You can't do that because of where you came from, or if you don't have the background, you don't have the pedigree. And so have those dreams, and then just go after them. But just know that people are going to doubt you. But it's okay, because it's not their dreams, it's your dreams. And I want to thank y'all so much today. I really appreciate it.
And what makes the Titans different than other youth basketball organizations out there?
I guess I'll start with that first. I don't have an organization. I'm a part of one. I don't have one. But to be a part of the Titan organization is a wonderful thing. It's better than most organizations because, we truly care about our kids, our people, our families, our friends. So that kind of separates us. It's genuine. It's not, people are not around just for the money or the fame, or to take over. People are really around because they want to be a part of something great. And that's a difference in our organization than most.
Just want to drive up. Yeah.